Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Now, I don't know how this video is going to go. I've got a few ideas of things I want to talk through and discuss, and I've had so many people ask me questions about this, which I didn't actually expect this many people to ask. So I thought I'm going to do this video now. I am currently sat filming it, and it is nearly 10 p.m. So the lighting, I don't know how good this is going to come out when I then transfer these clips over to my laptop. So we'll see how it all turns out. I'm literally still in my bikini. I was at the beach today, and I'm just still chilling out. But yes, today's video is going to be like an advice for returners going to camp. Now, this isn't just for returning counsellors. This will still kind of apply. Like, it might be interesting for new staff to still watch, even though they haven't been to camp before. But I had so many questions from people saying, oh, how is it going back? I'm not sure if I want to return. What should I do? Like, is the application process the same? And it got me thinking. I had so many questions related purely for returners. I was like, you know what, I'm going to put this into its own video, because it's a video that I never made before, like a returning counsellor, like advice video. And I thought it was such a good idea because it's helpful for people to know going back. Like, a lot of my videos are kind of tailored to people going for the first time, a lot of tips for people going and not knowing what to expect. So I thought it'd be quite interesting to do it from like a returning point of view. So I do have a few questions, or just like kind of like statements I'm going to talk through that I've had a lot of people reach out to me and ask, and just kind of put this into a video. Let's see how it goes. I don't know if there's going to be that much for me to talk about, but we'll see. And like I say, a lot of people have requested it, so fingers crossed this turns out well and it is helpful for you guys going back for a second, or even like more than just 2 years, a second, third, fourth year returner. But I think the main thing is it's definitely different going back to camp. I don't want to talk about, I'm gonna do this again, I'm gonna literally go off on some random long rant in the intro, which I don't want to do. I'm going to talk about this when I get to each topic. So yeah, that is what this video is going to be, guys. I hope you enjoy, I hope it's helpful, and thanks for watching. Okay, yeah, so the first thing is literally just someone asking about advice for returning counsellors. Now, I'm going to touch on what I nearly said literally 2 minutes ago, and it is that going back for a second year is very different than your first year. Obviously, you're going with all this knowledge, you know exactly what to expect, providing obviously you're going back to the same camp. But even if you went back to a different camp, it would still be very similar. It's just more knowing how day-to-day camps are run, the kind of like vibe to expect, how time off is, how traveling after can be, and you will kind of get an understanding of how it all goes. But it is different. I remember literally going my first summer to camp and kind of leaving thinking, oh, I had the best summer. It was just kind of like a one-off. I wasn't planning on going back. It wasn't going to be more than that. And I ended up going back my second year and had the best summer. It was so much fun. And for me, like, every summer I've gone back has got better and better. And I have such high expectations now that each summer is just going to top the one before. And it is just really exciting going back. Now, for me, I'm a bit of a control freak. I love knowing what's going on. I love being in control. I love knowing kind of what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, kind of like the routine, the order of how things are actually done. So for me, going back as a returner was so much more fun because I knew all of that. I knew all the head staff. I knew a few of my counsellors that were returning. I kind of enjoyed helping the new staff a lot, like get settled, answer any questions they had, and I just really enjoyed going back for a second year. So yeah, if you're maybe on the fence because you're kind of like, oh, I had such a good summer, I don't know if I want to go back again. If you're on the fence for any reason, I would always say go back for a second year, because personally for me and every other returner that I've been to camp with has said that their second summer has just been like incredible. Like, their first summer was amazing, but their second summer just kind of like trumps it somehow. I think it is just knowing more about kind of like even just like those little things, like what to pack, like what to take, what to expect on a night off, how orientations ran, just little things like that. It's just nice to know how the scheduling is. I don't know if that's just maybe just me and a few people that I know that kind of like knowing how everything's run, but I personally thought it was honestly so much nicer going back and kind of knowing how everything works and helping everyone that was new and helping ease them into the whole process as well. Now, that's not to say that you won't enjoy going for the first year, because like I said, my first summer was the best summer. Like, I had such an amazing time. It's just that every year I've gone, it's just got, like I say, better and better. But obviously you have to all start somewhere, and you have to go for the first time and kind of not really know what to expect, not know what's going on, not know many people, and that's what makes that summer for you, and that's what makes you want to go back, because you meet those people, you have that incredible experience, and you want to go back for a second year, third, fourth, however many years you end up going back for. So it is definitely, I can't even explain to you guys, if you're going for the first time or even going as a returner, like, camp is just such a special place for me. And it's so funny, if you'd have told me, like, if I'd had a conversation with me 5 years ago, I would have never in a million years have said that I would still be going back to camp, still be literally loving going and having still been in touch with so many of my friends I met my first summer, and let alone like making so many more incredible friends and so many incredible memories 5 years on. I would never have believed you. So oh, it's just an amazing place, and no matter what camp you go to, you're going to be in such an amazing environment with amazing people, and you're going to have the best time. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is actually just the application process and how different it is for a returner, because that's what I had a lot of people ask about as well, was, oh, how do I go about applying as a returner? Like, is there anything like different? Is the process the same? And for me, the process has been very similar. It's a lot less stressful going back as a returner because you don't have to do the initial applications again. If you're choosing to go back to the same camp, you're invited back and you don't have to fill out all that lengthy application. You don't have to do that with your agency again unless for some reason you're changing agencies. But for me, like, it was just like all my information was sent back over. You obviously have to reapply for your police check, reapply for a visa, but other than that, it is very smooth sailing and it is very easy. There are a few people that have reached out and they've kind of said, oh, like, after going like 1 year with an agency, I kind of want to go direct for my second year, and that's definitely something you can look into doing. It is a lot more complicated than I thought. It maybe just be easier. Like for me, I'm still going with an agency, I'm still going with BUNAC, and I again couldn't recommend them enough. They've been brilliant and I've been with them for 5 years now, and I know that a lot of you guys have signed up with BUNAC because you've heard like how like my experience has been with them and how amazing they've been with me. And I personally just find it so much easier going with an agency. You have constant support, you have someone at the end of the phone, end of an email, whenever you need, and it's just nice to have an agency there. That being said, some people do want to go kind of direct and earn as much money as they can going direct through their camp, which is again fine, but again, I just think for me it's been easy to use an agency. In terms of process, it's exactly the same. Again, it's nice to know what to expect with your visa appointment going back for a second time, even though I was still just as stressed my second time. I don't know what it is about the embassy, but it freaks me out. But yeah, it's just kind of like, obviously your first year, it's hard, it's the unknown, there's a lot of applications to fill out, there's a lot of forms to do, and your second year, you're just a little bit more aware to all of that, you know how it works. And what's been nice though about obviously a lot of first year staff have been able to like reach out to me or other returners and just get a little bit of an insight on how, look, just asking questions, and just me and other people being able to give them some advice and kind of like settle any nerves you've got about anything, whether it's to do with applications, camps itself, visas, anything. It is nice to have those returners out there to reach out to, and that's what I found has been really nice about this Facebook group that I made. It's been amazing because I'm finding that so many people are responding to questions in there and helping people out, and it's been, honestly, it's such a nice community that has seemed to have grown in what is only literally like 6 or 7 months, I think. But yeah, in terms of applications for a returner, it's very much the exact same, providing you're going to the same camp and with the same agency. Okay, next thing I want to talk about, someone asked me how have my summers compared, and I did mention, like, obviously every summer I've been, my summers have just got better and better, and it, like I say, has just set the bar so high, and I'm just so excited to keep going back. I can really see camping in my future for a good few years, like easily. Like I can see myself going back for a while, and it's just because the family, the home that I like, the feelings that I feel when I'm there. It sounds so cheesy, but it's honestly just like a place like no other, and I'm like, why would I want to stop going back to somewhere that makes me feel like that? And I have the most incredible campers, the most incredible staff that I know there. I get to meet new people and have these amazing experiences every year. Why would I not go back, you know? So yeah, my summers have got better every single time. That doesn't apply to everyone, don't get me wrong. Some people go back for a second year and they're like, oh, it wasn't actually as good as my first year. It's all down to obviously what you do at camp, what camp you go to. It's down to you as a person, do you know what I mean? So it completely depends. I've had the best time every year and it's got better and better. Next year, I have very high hopes for 2023. Okay, and this is kind of similar to what I've just spoke about, but someone said, is it good going to camp for a second year? I'm worried it won't be the same. And there's always going to be that fear, like there's always going to be that doubt, like, oh, I've had such a good summer. Do I kind of want to just leave it there and not go back and risk kind of like ruining the memories I have from my first summer? And it's something that's always gonna be in the back of your mind. If you don't go, you're gonna be like, oh, what if, like, I wish I'd have gone back for another year, I could have had the best time. And then obviously if you go and it's not the same, it might be the opposite. It's hard to really say because it's so different for everyone, and it's so different depending on what camp you go to and what experience you do have. Literally the cutest puppy here right now. Hey, she's so confused. But yeah, I feel like if you're already on the fence and debating it, it's because deep down you do want to go back, and you probably will regret not going back if those feelings are already there this early on, do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. So I would always say go back for another year because it's an experience. At the end of the day, you meet amazing people. Not everyone gets the chance to do something like this, so I would always say go back again if you can. Okay, next question is, how do you find your relationships are with the kids going back for a second year? And me and Summer actually spoke about this a little bit in the mukbang that we did a couple of months ago, and I've moved up with my kids every year that I've gone back to camp. So I started with them when they were 7 years old, went back when they were 8 years old, missed their obviously middle, like next 2 summers, and then went back this year when they were like 11 turning 12, and I could not go back to camp and not be with my girls. I literally adore them so much, and I go back every year for them. Like, they are the main reason why I go back to camp. And some people find that they go and they kind of want to have a different age group, or they want to experience a different like group of kids at camp, and that's completely fine. I found that going back for a second year, you've already built those relationships and bonds with your kids from the year before, and I think that's why I loved going back every year, because those relationships get stronger year after year, and you just feel so much more comfortable going back, and that connection's already there. So obviously for your first year, you don't know any of the kids, you have to build those relationships from scratch, and it's a hard thing to do, don't get me wrong, and it can take time. And I remember in that video that me and Summer did, she spoke about the first few days when the kids arrived, and she was kind of like, oh my god, like this is crazy, like these kids have already got their favorite counselors, they kind of don't really have much time for me at the moment. And you do have to break down those barriers, because you have to build those relationships, and you do have to start from scratch, which is why I think going back year after year is so nice, because you do have those relationships already built, and you've kind of formed those connections already, and you've got those memories from the year before with these kids. And yeah, I just find it so nice going back and having them as familiar faces, and it's nice for them to have you as a familiar face. Like, I want to keep going back to camp for them, because I want them to be able to say, oh, my counsellor I had in my freshman A summer stuck with me through to my CIT summer. That would be such an amazing thing for me and for them. When you have staff come from all over the world and they're all different ages, like not everyone can commit 7-8 years of their lives to go back to camp every single summer, and no one's expecting that you can, but it's hard for them. Obviously they form these relationships with you, they get very attached, and then to find out you're not going back the second summer is really hard. Like, it's hard for them and it's hard on you as well. So yeah, I've always found going back has just been better, because I think of that exact reason. You've got those relationships, the kids love you, you love the kids, and it's just so nice. And honestly, seeing them again, if you are thinking of going back to camp and you're going to stick with your kids, can you imagine, like for me, the day that the buses arrive is one of the best days ever. It's the most emotional day, and I always get so nervous being at camp, and it's such a nice day, and it's just so emotional seeing them again, obviously after not seeing them for like 10 months. And imagine that feeling if you're thinking about not going back maybe for a second year. Imagine that feeling of how amazing it's going to be for them to see you and for you to see them, and just maybe play with that idea and see if that changed your mind about going back, because I couldn't think of anything better than keep going back and seeing my kids run off the buses, give them a big hug, and then spend the whole summer with them. I could cry talking about this, guys. This is not okay. I'm honestly so excited for next summer. Okay, next I want to talk about is, should I move up with my kids or not? And this is something I touched on in my camp Q&A, that Ellie, one of the girls I work with at camp, she actually asked me this question, and she was kind of just like saying, like, do you think you should move up with your kids, or do you think you should go with a different age group? Like, how do you find going back year after year with them and having to kind of like grow up with them? And I think it's exactly that. I love the fact that I can grow up with these girls and see how much they change and they mature and how much they grow year after year. It's such a nice feeling. But for some people, they do want to switch it up. They think, oh, I had an amazing summer, I worked with like the oldest group on camp, but now I'm in the mood for a bit of a change, I want to go for the younger kids. And that's completely fine. Like, that's completely normal, and it's obviously going to be down to however you found your summer was. Like, some people will want to stick with their kids the whole way through, which is what I want to be able to do. Some people want to change it up. That's completely normal. But what's nice as well is that, especially at Tyler Hill, at my camp, they are very good at knowing where staff are going to be best placed. Like, even if you went to camp and you were really dead set on working with like the oldest group of kids, your camp kind of said, look, we really think your energy will match really well with like the 10 and 11 year olds. It's good to take their opinions into consideration, because they've done this for a very long time. They know just from like an initial conversation where you're going to be best placed. And I've used this example before, but my best friend Meg, she was dead set on being with the youngest group on camp. Like, she really wanted the freshmen, she wanted the little 7-year-olds, and they literally sat her down. They said, look, like, the energy that you're giving us right now would be so perfectly matched for the oldest, well, one of the oldest divisions on camp. And she was like, oh, you know what, like, I don't know, I really want to go with the younger ones. And she kind of like went back and forth with them for a little bit, and she was really like, I really want the little ones. And she eventually did it. She went for the teens. So she had, I think they were 14, 15 I think, and she had the most incredible summer with them. And like, looking back now, she's like, I could never have gone anywhere else. Like, they are my girls, like, they are the ones that I literally had the best summer with, and she's going to go back with them next year. So camp will know, like, even if you're debating with going with a different age group, or even if you wanted to stay with them, they might be like, oh, you know what, we think you're really good with this age group, we want to keep you here. They're good at knowing that. They've done it for a long time. It's their job. They know where staff are best going to be placed. But no, it's completely personal preference. I'm going to stick with my girls until the end. Okay, that's kind of all the little questions and just kind of like advice things I want to talk about. I don't know if this is going to be very long to put in a video. We'll see how it turns out, but it might just be quite interesting for returners and new staff to just kind of see how, maybe just, I don't know, maybe listen to some of these things that I just said and see how it makes you feel in terms of going back to camp for a second or third year, or even more, you know what I mean? But yeah, if you do have any questions, whether it's about returning to camp, going to camp for the first time, or any video ideas you want to see, my best friend Sally is literally coming out to Australia in what is now 3 days. By the time this video goes up, she will already be here, and we have so many camp videos that we're going to film. And I found that, especially when I did that mukbang, so many people loved that style of video, like a little bit different. It had other people in it. It wasn't just me talking at the camera, which I know some people do obviously really enjoy, but sometimes it's nice to switch it up. We have so many video ideas planned for camp related, Australia related, everything like that. So stay tuned, because there's going to be a lot of content coming in when she gets out here. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. I hope that's been helpful or given you any sort of idea on, I feel like I want to do this at the end of some of my videos. I think what I've actually just spoke about for 20 minutes, like I have no idea, but we'll see how it all comes together. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.